Mets lose a tough one, 9-8 to Trevor Hoffman and the Padres.
News Radio, weeknights this fall.
On April 10th, gave up 18 hits, 16 runs. Wow. But yet he still has a 3.67 ERA. He's an outstanding pitcher, and the Yankees hope that he is healthy for the remainder of the regular season and right straight through the postseason.
And like David Wells, who worked last night, he is perfect so far at home this year. The Yankees have by far the best home record in baseball at 53-13, but they did lose 5 times in August here at the stadium, and they are also wrapping up a homestand tonight. And the Yankees on this homestand have gone a rather mediocre 5-4. Tim Raines in left field, Bernie Williams in center with Paul O'Neill in right, Scott Brocious, Derek Jeter on the left side, Chuck Knobloch and Tino Martinez on the right side. And it will be Joe Girardi catching David Cone tonight. Of course, last night it was Jorge Posada who caught David Wells as David Wells flirted with perfection for a second time. He retired the first 20 Oakland A's before settling for a 2-hit complete game shutout. Of course, the A's were upset last night with the work of then home plate umpire Jim McKean, as McKean moves over to third base tonight. Ed Hickox is behind the plate. Jim McKean threw out both A.J. Hinch and Art Howe in the 6th inning, and it seemed to have an effect on the game, Ray. After that point, David Wells did not pick up a called strike 3.
And especially in the inside part of the plate. Joe Torre just sitting back and, as he said, not caring about the 116 or 117 victories. He's caring about number 100 and also the postseason play, not necessarily caring about the regular season. Greg, just a point about Ricky Henderson not on the lineup, and I don't know if we haven't heard anything specifically, but remember that when the tarp is drained, it's drained in left field. There's a lot of water, and that left field area is soaked. A lot of standing water. They spread it out, but it's still very wet. And I can only speculate that Ricky is not starting perhaps because of that. Unless we get further word, we really don't know, but he's definitely not in the lineup.
And the reason, of course, they do that is the drainage is much better out in that area of the ballpark, and you don't want it sopping up in the infield, of course. So Jason McDonald, who was just recalled yesterday, takes the first pitch of the game from David Cone. It is a fastball strike. After a 2-hour and 14-minute rain delay, we are underway from Yankee Stadium. There's a breaking ball from David Cone. He misses to McDonald. 1 ball and 1 strike.
So if that's the case about the water in left field, what does that say about Jason McDonald? Maybe younger legs?
Well, somebody's got to play left field, and they decided it not to be Ricky, as McDonald fouls that off, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. McDonald, of course, was sent down to the minors last week when the A's had to add a roster spot for Gil Heredia, who was going to start for a second time tonight. He won his first outing against Detroit in the first game of a doubleheader. McDonald fouls this one off, and the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The one thing about a rain delay, before the pitchers take the mound, before they actually start warming up, it's all right. It just means they have to think of something to do for another couple of hours. But the good thing, Cone and Heredia took the warm-up tosses as if the game started at 7:30.
Strike 3 called. Now, historically, when you wait 2 hours and 14 minutes to begin a game, it has a tendency to go very rapidly, Ray, as the umpires may get into it a bit. This is Jim McKean's strike zone from last night.
Well, check the height of this pitch. I mean, that's above Jason McDonald's waist. And that normally is a pitch that's not called, especially that high. And I think it caught the inside corner, but the height is something that the A's on the bench will be looking at more critically.
Looked a lot like the strike zone we saw from John Hirschbeck in Cleveland. It has been a sensational season for David Cone in all regards. He is clearly a top candidate for American League Cy Young Award. It would be his second. He also won one with the Kansas City Royals. That was back in 1994. 0-1 pitch. Ryan Christensen takes sharply to left field for a base hit. So the A's, who had to wait through 20 outs to finally get a base runner last night, get one tonight with batter number 2.
Hanging slider from David Cone. That's a perfect pitch for Christensen, who is waiting very well at the plate. Pitch for him to hit as hard as he did.
They are booing at Jason Giambi as he steps in.
That's great. I love it. That's respect.
Giambi, of course, broke up the perfect game last night with a single as David Wells hung a curveball. And then later in the game, Mike Blowers had a clean, hard single to left field. Wells, and Giambi takes ball 1.
Wells kind of established a pattern last night where he started the left-handed hitters, Giambi, Stairs, and Grieve, started them with curveballs. And I mentioned that to Jason and I asked him about it, and he said he switched in the at-bat in the 7th when he got the base hit.
And he's got another one, this one, right past the reach of Tino Martinez. Ryan Christensen goes to third base. So the A's, who did not score, of course, last night only had 2 hits. He had hits back-to-back here in the first off a cone. It's first and third, and only 1 out for the cleanup DH Matt Stairs.
Well, you have to take advantage of David Cone if you have the opportunity to score some runs. Another pitch that was up, a little sinker that stayed up and just went to the side away from Jason Giambi. So he was able to hit that one hard.
Matt Stairs, who leads the club with 96 RBIs, and he's had a good road trip, 10 for 34. He's hit .294 on this so far 8-game trip. He lays off the David Cone breaking pitch. We showed you that David Cone has gotten tremendous support this year from his Yankee hitters, over 7 runs a game. He has pitched so-so in his last 2 outings, a couple of no decisions. And this one he misses with, and the count is 2-0 to Stairs.
David Cone following David Wells is like you and me following Tiger Woods driving off the tee box, you know.
Here's a slowly hit ball which will score a run. From third comes in Ryan Christensen. Matt Stairs picks up RBI number 97 on the season. Giambi slipping into scoring position himself, and the A's have a 1-0 lead. Actually, David Wells went over to Jason Giambi after his base hit last night, Ray, and said, "Thank you." I was rather surprised by his comments. He said he never wanted to pitch a second perfect game. Of course, he threw one here in mid-May on the 17th against the Twins, only the 15th perfect game in history. And he said, "I don't ever want one of those again. It changes your life forever and puts too much pressure on you."
I think especially here at Yankee Stadium, with the way the fans started getting in the game very early, with David Wells probably as early as the 3rd or 4th, perhaps in anticipation of it happening again. That is a lot of pressure every pitch.
Well, the A's don't have to worry about a no-hitter or a shutout tonight as they get to David Cone very early. Ben Grieve, 11 for 31 on this road trip, .355. His last 5 base hits have gone for 2 bases as he takes a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, the A's were scrambling during the 2-hour and 10-minute rain delay. In particular, their traveling secretary, Mickey Morabito, in case the game was called off, to secure the A's hotel reservations tonight. They did check out of their Manhattan hotel this afternoon before they came to the ballpark, anticipating a flight home after the game. Rain, of course, with the U.S. Open going on at the National Tennis Center in Flushing. There was no way they could return to that hotel.
Right.
Now the A's don't have to worry about that now as Ben Grieve fouls it off, and the count is 2-2.
Several of the guys down in the clubhouse, as I went down in one of our breaks, and said, well, I've got that sofa. If we have to stay overnight, find some place in the clubhouse and just stay there. One of the toughest parts of a traveling secretary's job is when something like this occurs. He is scuffling, trying to make arrangements if indeed it was going to be necessary to stay over. Let's hope we can get this game in and head home.
Count is 2-2 on Grieve. The A's have already scored once on the ground out by Stairs, bringing in Ryan Christensen. Giambi at second, and David Cone pumps a fastball high. Even though neither one of these pitchers warmed up, Ray, this still has to be very disconcerting for both David Cone and Gil Heredia to have to wait over 2 hours to actually begin the game. 3-2 pitch. Is strike 3 called, a good one by Cone, a breaker, and Ben Grieve goes down looking. The A's get a couple of hits and score a run on the Stairs ground out, and they lead 1-0 as the Yankees come to bat.
Hey, Brooklyn, what you doing with that dog?
Trying to get to the majors. This guy's going down. Any day now, I'll be getting the call.
You sure you know how to work that thing?
The A's take on the Devil Rays Friday at 7:30 on Fox Sports Bay Area.
You having a good time, Poppy?
It's coming. And this time there's something new. Now there's a wind tunnel by Hoover that's self-propelled, so it almost works by itself. Tests show wind tunnel picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright.
Hoover, nobody.
And now you can get one that's self-propelled. Self-propelled wind tunnel.
Zero pressure Michelin. So revolutionary it won't go flat, even with the puncture the size of a golf ball, letting you drive up to 50 miles at 55 miles per hour. Just what you'd expect from Michelin.
The New York Yankees have the best batting average in the American League at .290. They have a couple of players challenging for a batting championship. Chuck Knobloch will lead it off at second base. Derek Jeter up to number 2 in the league. Paul O'Neill will hit 3. Bernie Williams has the lead by 6 points over Jeter and Mo Vaughn. Tino Martinez will bat number 5. Darryl Strawberry will go 6th, but Tim Raines in the lineup. Scott Brocious did not play last night, but he's in tonight against Heredia, and Joe Girardi is catching David Cone.
And Gil Heredia making his second start as a member of the Athletics. He's faced the Yankees 5 times out of the bullpen. Fastball, sinker, changeup. He'll also throw a splitter. He'll throw strikes. Career record 21-21. And this year AAA 10-8, 367 and 1 average.
Jason McDonald is in left field for Ricky Henderson. That lineup change came just moments before game time. Ryan Christensen, who covers a lot of territory, in fact leads the league in putouts per game. He's in center. Ben Grieve in right. Ed Sprague at third, Miguel Tejada at short, Scott Spezio at second, Jason Giambi behind the plate, or at first base, pardon me, and A.J. Hinch is behind the plate. Chuck Knobloch will settle in for the Yankees. He's got one on the top of the first, and Gil Heredia's first pitch is a fastball strike. Modest numbers overall for Knobloch as far as the batting average. The 17 home runs, though, are a career high. He had 13 with the Twins 2 seasons ago. That was his previous best. Takes this one to right. Nice play by Spezio, and he'll throw out Knobloch. One away in the Yankee first, and that'll bring up one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball. In fact, Derek Jeter was voted the American League Player of the Month for August, and he is our B.F. Goodrich in the groove player tonight. 17 home runs, breaking Frankie Crow's record for the most home runs by a Yankee shortstop, and he is just tearing it up of late to push the overall batting average to .333.
What's interesting watching him just as he set up the plate, and it's great to see hitters do that. Instead of Jeter just concentrating on the pitcher, you could see he was looking where Ed Sprague was set up at third base. He even turned his head to see if Sprague was going to move back.
They set up the middle, Ray. There's no question this young man is a very intelligent player, and he is an extremely hard worker.
He made a slight adjustment, too much of the inside-out swing. He felt that they were getting him out inside, and he made the adjustment. He's using the whole field now, but he's also able to pull the ball, something that he did not do last year as much. And it cost him in the postseason. That's something he worked on all winter.
And he began the year slowly in that regard. We may have an injury. Steve Sales, the A's assistant trainer, is out as Scott Spezio is holding his left knee, and that is the same knee, of course, that he tore cartilage in earlier this year. He had an arthroscopic operation performed in mid-June on that left knee. Ranging up the middle to his right to make this play. I think it may have happened on the Knobloch play earlier. Yeah, this is the play right here.
Yeah.
And then a moment later on the Jeter hit, he ranged up the middle. This is the Knobloch play, and you can see him grimace. So it is the play earlier, not the Jeter base hit. And that was the type of play, Ray, where he originally injured it. And Spezio is going to leave the game. And Rafael Bornegal is going to come into the game and play at second base.
I think what watching Spezio and talking to Steve Sales, he was trying to explain what happened. And with Scott, I think he doesn't realize that sometimes whether there's actual pain and it's hurting, or it's just part of the procedure, after the surgery, maybe some scar tissue breaking up. And he just wanted to clarify that, but Art House is not going to take any chances in putting in Rafael Bornegal. Well, that's two down.
Ricky before the game, knowing that it may be treacherous conditions, and now Spezio leaves very early in the game because of injury to his left knee. At least he tweaked it. Hopefully, as Ray mentioned, it's just the scar tissue tearing away, and a lot of times that will happen to players. Although Scott had that operation, as I said, in mid-June, he has had some problems with it over the last month or so.
But as Scott was saying the other day also, that as long as he plays, he's going to have some swelling, and it's going to take the season being over where he can rest it completely and get it strong for next spring. But as hard as he loves and as much as he loves to play the game, he wants to be out there.
Paul O'Neill had an RBI double, a two-run double early in the game last night to push over 100 driven in for the year. He is second on the club to Tino Martinez, who has 106. Heredia throws him ball one. Now certainly when you wait through a 2-hour and 14-minute rain delay, you hope the conditions are such that the players are not going to do any undue harm to themselves. And that appeared, Ray, I don't know if that was directly attributable to the conditions here at Yankee Stadium or not. Probably not. It was just a standard baseball play. But again, when there is extra moisture on the dirt, it will get a little clumpy, and it won't give as much as it ordinarily would. Heredia will shorten up the lead of Derek Jeter. Yankees are second in the league in stolen bases. Heredia pitched very well for the A's in his prior appearances. This is his 4th overall appearance and his 2nd start. His first start came against the Tigers, and he did win that game, going 6. He gave up only 8 hits and a couple of runs. He struck out 4 in the game.
Got a few Yankee hitters, and you know the scouting report on Gil Heredia. No, he's going to be around the plate. It's just a matter of the type of pitches they're going to see. And the Yankee club pretty good at hitting strikes and using the whole field.
One pitch to O'Neill. Heredia does throw the fastball, a slider, a change, and also a good splitter. Heredia came up with the Giants 5.5 years in their chain. Then he went on to Montreal, did a year with Texas. Last year he split time with the Cubs farm system, and also later back to Montreal.
That's twice now that Jeter has actually leaned towards second when Heredia is thrown over.
Heredia is 32 years of age. They signed him to a minor league deal in mid-January. To the plate now, and Paul O'Neill. O'Neill takes strike 2. He came highly recommended, Ray, by Matt Stayers, who Matt has played in the Mexican Winter Leagues over the last 4 years. Heredia played there this past off season. Thought he had pretty good stuff. Now A.J. Hinch just wants to make sure what that stuff is and what order he's going to throw it. Matt is not going back to Mexico this offseason after signing his multi-year deal with the A's. He will move his family to the Danville area
and work out with Bob Hill the entire winter and be ready to go next spring. Very healthy.
Heredia knocks it down, and he will throw out O'Neill. Jeter was moving on the pitch, so he's already at second base, where he says hello to Miguel Tejada. So O'Neill is the second out of the inning, and Jeter in scoring position. Nice defensive play by Heredia.
Those are the little things right there, just kind of the luck of the draw, if you will, because the ball hit right in the center of his glove and dropped straight down instead of him catching the ball, and it would have been an easy double play with Derek Jeter running.
Last night, Bernie Williams didn't wait long. In the second, he takes one from Tom Candiotti over the wall in right center field. A 2-run shot. The Yankees got 4 in the first last night. This gave them a 6-0 lead for Bernie Williams, home run number 21. And keep in mind, he also was out about a month, 5 weeks or so, with a knee injury, trying to win the batting championship, trying to hold off his teammate Derek Jeter. Of course, the Yankees had a very similar race like this in 1984 when Don Mattingly and Dave Winfield finished 1-2. Mattingly won the batting title in '84 with a .343 average, and Dave Winfield finished number 2 at .340.
Don't count out Nomar Garciaparra. .325. Granted, it's the last month of the season, but the way he swings the bat, wow. Mo Vaughn up there too with a very high batting average.
Count is 0-2. See if Heredia goes to a splitter here to try to put Bernie Williams away. Missed inside, and the count is 1-2. He's got one in the top of the inning. Back-to-back hits from Christensen and Giambi. Set it up for Stayers with one out to drive in a run with a ground ball. Here's a 1-2 pitch, and Williams fouls that straight back.
Good to see Heredia pitching inside. It's something that, especially with a left-handed hitter, you're concerned that if you pitch inside and make a mistake, 314 feet down the right field line, very dangerous. Think about also pitching away, letting those left-handed hitters just try to pull the ball and hit it straight away center. And I think the mistakes are made more to the outside. And so if you can pitch them in, push the hitters off the plate, you have a pretty good chance of getting them out.
I remember a few years ago, I think it was Tony's last year of 1995 when Tony La Russa was the manager of the A's. He was enraged one series because the young A's pitchers would not pitch inside in this ballpark. Derek Jeter at second base, and Bernie Williams strikes out, swinging through a high one.
3 outs, AJ.
Yeah, AJ. 2 hours and 14-minute rain delay. It's taken him a while. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're done. 1-0 A's after one. A run for 61. As soon as the record falls, we'll present a Fox Sports News special, breaking the record. Home run history. Stay with Fox Sports News for the most complete coverage of baseball's most thrilling summer in decades. And Mark McGwire hit a couple of home runs tonight in Florida. Earlier today, Sammy Sosa also hit a home run. McGwire now has 59 on the season. He has hit 3 home runs the last 2 games as Rafael Bornegol pressed into duty because of the left knee injury to Scott Spezio, is going to lead off for the A's. He's hitting out of the number 6 hole. Ed Sprague will follow, followed by Miguel Tejada. Bornegol straight back, and it's 0-2.
You know, by the way, Greg, all these writers and people talking about McGwire not having fun and enjoying this, I thought in watching the press conference last night following the 2 home runs, smiling, answering the questions, I mean, the guy's having a great time with it. And I think the press conferences they're holding before and after the games probably helping out more than anything, so it's not a lot of one-on-one stuff. And Makes it a little easier for him.
Well, now the attention is going to become even greater. It's very likely network television will begin to broadcast every one of his games. He could easily tie the record in one game, and he's already got 59 after hitting 2 tonight. Bornegall takes this one down the line, and it's still a ball and 2 strikes.
It's interesting that Bornegall is in this game because it was the first start. David Cone, the A's were down 3-0. Put a couple of runners on base, and Bornegall, with the A's down by 3, sacrificed and moved the runners up. Ricky Henderson then drove them in. First runs Cone had given up in 18 innings. But that was a big sacrifice by Rafi, and here he is inserted in the game because of the injury to Spezio.
This one is caught. Soft liner taken by Derek Jeter at shortstop, and Bornegall didn't even have time to drop the bat. He is retired for out number 1 here in the second.
Guys like Jason McDonald and Rafael Bornegall, that's who has a tough time because they were sitting in the clubhouse figuring they're not in the lineup. Jason maybe because of the long rain delay, but a guy like Bornegall just saying, well, game starts at 9:45, then he's in the game all of a sudden.
Another opportunity for Ed Sprague here. He is in because he has much better career numbers against David Cone than Mike Flowers. David Cone likes to work the outer half of the plate with that nasty slider of his, and he'll drop down with his Laredo. So a Sprague up closer to the plate than Flowers. It may give him a better shot. He fouls that one off his foot, and he's quickly down 0-2.
Talking to Mike Blowers, and he said he cannot remember facing Cone that much anyway to really say what kind of numbers he had.
His hitless career against David Cone, 0 for 9. So Blowers, the former Yankee, watches. Count is 0-2. Just a piece. That is a fair ball, and Sprague is retired. 2 away in the A's second. Joe Girardi, who was sharing the catching duty with young Jorge Posada, makes the play.
Girardi catches Cone and Pettit. Posada catches the other 3. Girardi is a free agent at the end of the season. The Yankees do have an option, and he was saying that he figures he will not be here. They want to re-sign him, but be a backup to Posada. He would like to go and play someplace every day if he has the opportunity. So his future is uncertain right now. He'd like to pick up his 2nd World Championship ring.
And the other 3 in the Yankee rotation, of course, are David Wells, El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, and the struggling Hideki Arabu. He has not pitched well over his last 3 starts as Miguel Tejada takes ball 1. Tejada 5 for 27 on the road trip, and that has dropped his average to 232. There's David Cone right there living on the outer edge against the right-handers. Count is 1 ball, 1 strike.
You talk about a young kid, wide-eyed, coming in to New York, seeing it for the first time. Miguel Tejada just didn't know what to do. Seeing all the bright lights, tall buildings. He also got in a taxi cab. He says, boy, they got me $45. Going somewhere.
Where was he going?
I think maybe coming out here. But Rafael Bornegall is saying that everybody in the Dominican Republic, the only city they think about is New York. This is the city. And they get the opportunity to come here. They enjoy it.
El Duque. He knows how to ride the subway. $1.50. $3 round trip from Manhattan. Count is 2-2. El Duque having a brilliant year. The A's, of course, will miss him on this series. He will pitch Friday in Chicago. Andy Pettitte will go on Saturday. Andy Pettitte has had a rather mediocre year. Clearly Cone and Wells have led this staff as Cone overthrows. And although it's early, Ray, Cone is a little fidgety on the mound. He does not look to be in real great rhythm right now. And I think he has been adversely affected by the 2-hour and 14-minute rain delay to get this game started.
He's still nervous from last night watching David Wells. He was more nervous on the bench than Wells was on the mound, it seemed.
Well, did you notice that like he did against the Twins on May the 17th when he threw his perfecto, David Wells went and sat right next to David Cone all night last night. And David Wells, so atypical of baseball players, he started talking about the perfect game right away, asking the guys, "Do you think I can do it? Can I throw a perfect game?"
Well, the funniest thing, you know, the superstition as far as where a guy sits. Chad Curtis not only sat on the bench where David Wells had been sitting, but he also sat on his jacket. And Wells had to get him up off his jacket, get him out of his seat.
David Cohn strikes out Miguel Tejada. He has struck out 3 through 2 innings of work at the end of 1.5 from Yankee Stadium, though he trails Gil Heredia 1-0. Thursday on Fox Sports Bay Area. Coming up tomorrow, Mo Vaughn and his tandem at shortstop, Nomar Garcia Parra, will go up against Jose Canseco and the Toronto Blue Jays. Roger Clemens, a Cy Young candidate. Red Sox Jays tomorrow at 4 here on Fox Sports Bay Area. Greg Papa, Ray Fosse back with you. Yankees comfortably on top of the Red Sox. In fact, their magic number for clinching the American League East is 8 games. They have already rather quietly qualified for the postseason. They have assured themselves at least the wild card, although they had no idea about that race Saturday after their game. They just left here routinely, didn't know anything had happened. Got home, popped on TV, and found out that they were in the playoffs. Tino Martinez flies out to Ryan Christensen. Gil Heredia has pitched well to the first 5 New York Yankees, and now he will face their leading home run hitter in Darryl Strawberry. Strawberry has hit a couple of home runs his last 10 at-bats. He has hit those 24 home runs this year in only 264 at-bats.
Chili Davis still bothered by a rib cage problem.
Darryl gives it a ride to left. J-Mac will have room, it looks like, right up against the wall out there in Death Valley. And he puts it away for out number 2.
And that's what you want a left-handed hitter to try to do. Hit the ball out to 399-foot mark, the power alley in left center. Just a long fly ball, says Gil Heredia.
Tim Raines will step in. You were talking about Chili Davis. Of course, Chili has returned from the injury. He had an ankle injury that had him out just about all year. Missed 118 games, played the first 2, but he's still having a hard time swinging from the left side against right-handed pitching. So Strawberry DHs and Raines plays in left still. Quick inning, a 1-2-3 for Heredia, throwing only 5 pitches to get Tino, Straw, and Tim Raines. At the end of 2, it is still 1-0 A's.
For 100 years, Biv the Michelin Man has symbolized our never-ending quest to invent the best tires in the world. Michelin, celebrating 100 years of innovation.
55 Giants games. 55 A's games. 35 games of A's and Giants life. Baseball Thursdays on Fox Sports Net. Highlights from around the league on Fox Sports News. This Week in Baseball every Sunday. Get a comfortable chair because we've got more baseball than anyone else. Fox Sports Bay Area. Home teams, Fox attitude. Sports by the Bay is brought to you by Washington Mutual. Let Washington Mutual make a fan out of you with free checking that's really free. Washington Mutual, FDIC insured. Join the club.
Greg Papa, Ray Fosse back at Yankee Stadium. 1-0 A's after 2. A.J. Hinch will be leading off here in the top of the 3rd. A.J. his first ejection last night as he broke his bat. Did not like one of the calls of the plate umpire Jim McKean, and then he slammed his bat down in disgust. And the bat actually broke into a couple of pieces. And A.J. turned, went back to the dugout like he was still in the game, and McKean threw him out for the fact that the bat broke. Here's Bernie Williams in center, retiring A.J. Hinch. 1 away in the A's 3rd. Giants, after a win today at 3-com, are off to Los Angeles, and they'll wrap up that series from Dodger Stadium on Sunday. We'll have it for you here at 5 o'clock on Fox Sports Bay Area. Chicago Cubs a winner tonight as Sammy went yard again. New York Mets, of course, are playing in San Diego again. There's a curveball strike from David Cohn to leadoff man Jason McDonald.
That's a ball, even though he called the same pitch to Height.
He called it a ball, huh?
He called that a ball. That was a better pitch than he called McDonald out on.
Now let's see this one. You don't like that one either. A little bit high. 2-0 to Jason McDonald. Scott Brocious playing in at third base. Count is 2-1. Jason McDonald, the only call-up for the A's, with the rosters expanding on September the 1st yesterday, but there should be more over the weekend when the A's return home to begin the Labor Day weekend Friday night against the Devil Rays. Count is 2-2.
Well, Art Howe hands were so tied anyway. It was great to get another position player here. The A's were playing short with just 4 extra men. So with the call-ups, and plus the AAA club has kind of fallen out of contention for the playoffs.
That ball's roped by McDonald to right field for a solid base hit. So Jason McDonald, with 1 out, will run at first base. Gary Jones and Jay Mack look across the diamond to Ron Washington, who is the A's third base coach, of course, and Ron is preparing for his winter. He's going to take over Art Howe's club in the Dominican Republic Winter League, and for Ron Washington, it'll be his first foray into managing. Here's a strike to Ryan Christensen.
Already Ron Washington a little upset because he had Jason McDonald ready to go with him, but the team down in Mexico offered him twice as much money. So he said, where do you think he's going?
Well, Ron Washington played winter ball for 14 seasons, never in the Dominican Republic. That should be a good opportunity for him to try to manage. This guy's got a lot of baseball wisdom.
He'll do a good job.
0-1 pitch. David Cohn again missing to Ryan Christensen. Christensen singled sharply to left his first time up. He advanced to third, and the base hit by Giambi and scored on Matt Stayer's ground out. That's the only run of the game so far.
It's also great that Rafael Borrego recommended Ron Washington and Junior DeBoer, who's a general manager.
Very close. Al Clark, the umpire at first base, says McDonald beat the tag of Tino Martinez.
Jason didn't look like he was going anywhere, but good call by Al Clark as J-Mac's hand was in there before the tag.
J-Mac's going now on the 1-1 pitch. It's a hit and run, and Christensen fouls it into the top deck. Ryan Christensen has developed into a pretty solid #2 hitter. He's had a good road trip offensively. 12 for 31 on this trip, including his single tonight. Goes to the off field very well. 1-2 pitch. And he chased one there. Girardi will throw down. McDonald's back safely. Ryan Christensen strikes out, and there are 2 away.
Nasty split finger fastball there. Well, because Ryan could not hold up his swing on a pitch out of the strike zone. Look where Girardi is set up. He is allowing for the break to go anywhere, and it's a splitter straight down into the dirt. You'll see a catcher set up in the middle, because you don't want to go to the corners for a split finger fastball because of the way the ball breaks so differently.
Well, he's got one of the best splitters in all of baseball, and when he gets 2 strikes on you like they all do, they like to use the splitter. You've got to be ready. He changes speeds on his curveball so well. He'll throw a faster one, and that one he just almost like a changeup curveball. What a road trip for Giambi. Had 4 hits in Cleveland last Friday night. Couple of home runs. Hit 2 at the Jake. David Cone comes inside. After losing 2 out of 3 in Boston, the A's won 2 out of 4 in Cleveland. And if they could win this game tonight, they could wind up this road trip with a record of 4-5 against the 3 best teams in the American League. 1-1 pitch.
Not even waiting for 2 strikes to throw the split finger fastball to Giambi. And this is the great thing about David Cone, because he has such an assortment of pitches. He will start throwing them until he can get the one that's working. He'll go with that pitch, as he seems to be doing right now with a splitter, until the rest of the pitches get to where he likes them.
He has already struck out 4. Giambi pulls this one sharply.
It's interesting that talking about the 4 strikeouts back when Cone won the Cy Young Award, he credited Jimmy Key for teaching him, or Cone watching Key, and decided he was not going to be a strikeout pitcher any longer. But now he's back to the point where he has his capability of striking out guys, but he just wants to keep his pitch count down.
McDonald takes off on 1-2. It's a ball. Girardi's throw to second base is late, and Jason McDonald steals himself into scoring position here. The count is 2-2 now on Giambi.
He put a NC next to that one. No chance. Great job by McDonald. Cone has really never had a great delivery to the plate as far as speed-wise. He is slow, and J-Mac took advantage of it with the head-first slide. Nice stolen base.
And Joe Girardi behind the plate. There's strike 3 called as David Cone makes it a moot point. Cone strikes out 2 more in the inning. He now has 5 Ks in the game at the end of 2.5. 1-0 A's.
Here's the problem. It's a weekday afternoon, and you're here. And the Giants are playing here. Here's the solution. After work, go home and turn on Fox Sports Bay Area's Giants Light. We'll take an entire afternoon game and condense it down to a half hour. Then Glenn Kuiper adds some facts, stats, and insights, and you'll feel just like you were at the game. And you don't have to ask the boss for a 3-hour lunch break. Giants Light on Fox Sports Bay Area. It's how to make the game when you can't make the game.
Apparently Chris Berman's fairly popular.